Hi, I'm going to show you how you can connect Google Analytics 4 to BigQuery. And on top of that, how you're going to be able to set up queries that you can generate with natural language, that you can access on your phone, that you can create dashboards on top of, and even that you can get real-time alerts on using Zing Data, Google Analytics 4, and BigQuery. And the cool thing is you can get started with all of these for free. There's a free tier for BigQuery, the free availability of Google Analytics 4, and there's a free tier for Zing. Let's dive into it. So first, we want to make sure that whatever page that we want to create analytics for has Google Analytics set up. In this case, I just have some documentation for some software, and I'm going to want to see, maybe what people are spending time on, how long they're viewing different pages, how they navigate through that. And so I've set up Google Analytics 4 on this website. Now I'm going to go to Google Analytics at analytics.google.com, and I'm going to go select whichever property I want to view. In this case, I'm just interested in looking at this website docs. Great. And now I want to create a connection to BigQuery. The way I'm going to do that is go to Settings under Admin in Google Analytics. And then I'm going to scroll down to BigQuery links. And I'm going to connect my Google Analytics 4 account with my BigQuery account. So I'm going to hit link and choose a BigQuery project. But maybe I don't have one yet. Maybe I haven't set up BigQuery yet. So I can go over to cloud.google.com and I can create a free tier account on Google Cloud if I don't already have one. In this case, what I'm going to do is just create a new project. I'm going to hit this drop down at the top here and then say new project. So I create a project name and then hit create. You'll see I get this notification in the top right that Google Cloud is creating this BigQuery project. Now I need to make sure that I select the appropriate permissions for that project. So I'm in this GA to BigQuery project, and I'm going to type BigQuery API. And the reason I'm going to do that is I actually need to turn on the BigQuery API to ensure that I'm able to push data to that. In this case, it already is enabled, and I see that with this green check mark, so I'm good. Let's go back over to Google Analytics and choose a BigQuery project. I see a number of projects, including the one that I just created. I hit confirm. I could choose a data location, and I can choose if I want a daily export type or streaming export type. I'm actually going to choose both because I want to pull in my historical data, and I also want to get kind of the new events as they're happening. So I'm going to hit next, and I'll go down and hit submit. Great. So I've now linked my Google Analytics account to my BigQuery account. But there's one more thing I also need to do after this link is created, and that is to go over to BigQuery and create a service account. So the way I can do that is go to APIs and services, and then credentials. And then I'm going to look at the service account section here and hit manage service accounts. From here, I'm going to hit create service account, and I'll give it a name. Just say for data sync, create and continue, and I'll hit done. I can just go check my settings here, manage details to make sure that it has permissions. Great. So this service account is now created. My Google Analytics link is set up, and this can take some time up. Now, I'm not seeing any other tables yet, which means that the data has not yet populated into this project. So now we waited about 24 hours to see the data start flowing from Google Analytics 4 into BigQuery. And we can see that the data is flowing because if we go to cloud.google.com, we see that the analytics tables are starting to be populated. And intraday is the streaming data, the events underscore day is the daily kind of exports. So now let's go look at this events table. And we'll see that there's all these fields that are pulled in. One of the things, though, if we look at this table, is that it has a date as part of the table name. And since we're going to want to query data from across multiple dates so that we can look at week-on-week comparisons or month-on-month comparisons and trends, we're actually going to create a query that can query across all of these tables, and then we're going to save it as a view. So we're just going to hit this query button and then go to query a new tab. We're going to say select star, which means we want everything. And then we're going to say that we want not this specific table with today's date, but instead a table that is kind of special. So instead of the specific date, we're going to say underscore star. And we're going to substitute in star for that one date. What this lets us do is pull from any table that matches this pattern. And so what this is actually going to do is the equivalent of a union all, where you're stacking tables, let's say with the same format, but maybe of different dates on top of each other. So this is going to give us everything from the tables that are of this format. And then we're going to save this as a view that we're then going to be able to query in Zing Data. Just select a data set. We'll give it a name. We'll call it GA4 events. And we'll hit save. Great. Now we need to configure a service account so that Zing Data can connect to BigQuery. So we'll go over to Zing, hit connect next to Google BigQuery, and we'll see that we need to provide a project ID, a dataset ID, and a service account. So the project ID is pretty straightforward. We can just hit Google Cloud and we see a project ID that we can copy to the clipboard. We drop that in. And then dataset ID we can get from when we're in BigQuery here. And we just copy the ID for this dataset. Paste that in here. And we don't actually need the prefix here of the project name. So we're just going to use the part after the dot there. And then the last thing we need to do is create a service account. Go back to Google Cloud, kind of home page, and then say IAM and admin. And then from here, we're going to select service account. Along the left. And then we're going to click create service account. From here, we'll call it GA4 to BigQuery for Zing. Great. Create and continue. And we need to assign two roles that are going to allow Zing to query our BigQuery dataset. So the first is BigQuery viewer, BigQuery data viewer. And then we hit add another role, this button here. And we add BigQuery job user. And that allows Zing to run jobs when we have a query on BigQuery. Great. And then we hit done. So this creates the service account. And now we just need to download the service account JSON associated with this. So we just hit these three dots on the right. And then we go to manage keys. And then we hit add key. Create new key of type JSON. And this is going to save it down to our computer. All we do is download that saved JSON file and paste its contents over here in service account. Then we're going to hit check connection. We see here that there's a number of tables and views. There's these underlying events tables, but we don't really need those. And then there's the GA4 events view, which we created, which is actually going to always have the latest set of events, even as new data flows in. So we're just going to turn on GA4 events. And we don't need to see all the other tables or views. So we delete those off. We then hit save. And we're good to start querying. So you can hit start querying. We have GA4 events. We also could access that via the sources menu over here. So now, let's say we wanted to see how many unique users were taking different actions, activating different types of events. We could say we want user sudo ID, and that's basically user ID, but it handles logged out users a little bit better. And then we're going to just drag event name to the x-axis. We've now successfully queried our Google Analytics 4 data via BigQuery and Zing. If we want, we could change to a different chart type. If we'd like, we can also add other splits. Now we're going to hit run, and we'll save this down as Analytics Events from GA4. We could also take this and share it with a colleague just by tapping the 3 dots here. We could also save it down to our photo gallery or as a CSV and share it with other folks within our organization here. You could just go click on Docs to see a step-by-step of how to do this. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us just by going to zingdata.com and clicking this little chat bubble, and we'll be more than happy to help you.